So, welcome to Back Forward. This podcast is for two kinds of people. Well, those who are just starting your careers. So that's you, right? Trying to figure out what path to take in the world.
Absolutely.
And, the world feels louder, it's more confusing. There's just more things to think about today than when I was in your shoes, right? But the next audience is folks that are in leadership roles, that are thinking about a career change, that are maybe laid off from some of the changes that companies are experiencing, right? So that's the audience for the podcast. And, today we're joined by you, Will Watson, a professional triathlete,
Yes, sir.
coach, content creator, and a young leader navigating the early chapters of life as it relates to careers. So don't overthink your answers. We're going to have a great chat. Sound good, Will?
Sounds really good. Yeah.
All right. Let's just start by telling me, where were you born and raised?
I'm from Portland, Oregon originally, but now I live in Austin, Texas. I moved over when I was 20 years old.
Okay. Tell me more about your childhood. What kind of kid were you?
Yeah. Wow. Let me start with back when I was probably 4 years old. I got involved in soccer. I was very competitive as a kid. Loved honestly just playing sports. If it was all sports. It was golf. It was swimming, soccer, rugby, tennis. I tried it all. Swimming, track, things like that. Just doing new things, trying new things, and trying your best at it. That's I'd say what makes up a lot of my childhood is sports, competitive, teamwork, and having fun with friends. Honestly, in
Yeah.
sports. Yeah.
I love soccer, by the way. I love soccer. So do you still play?
Not not anymore, just because I don't want to roll an ankle. But when
Yeah.
I just went home to Oregon recently, I started playing a little bit. Still, I can still juggle, so it's really good. So
Yeah.
it doesn't
What
leave.
about family? Who's in your family?
So I've got two brothers, I've got two dogs, and then I've got my mom and dad. So my brothers as well do a lot of sports, and my dad definitely is the, I guess, instigator of all these sports and all these hobbies that we have. So yeah, we all play sports together. We all do adventurous stuff. I mean, we're from Oregon, so we're doing the
Yeah.
camping, fishing, hiking, all that fun stuff. So
So tell me more about your dad.
my dad, so let's see. My dad is from England originally, but moved over to the States for work in IT. He always, yeah, like played just like me, played soccer from a really young age, got involved in triathlon and stuff like that. Tons of sports as well. He does all the sports. I wouldn't say he's a master at any of them, but he's very good at all of them, which is a cool skill to have. Yeah, and he's just been my number one fan, I guess, on
Yeah.
the for my triathlon career.
That's an amazing influence. I remember playing sports with my dad. Like, he would always sponsor my sports, right? Tennis, soccer. I think that's about it when I grew up. And if I have something to thank my parents, my mom actually didn't let me play soccer anymore when I got injured. I was 10 years old. So she's like, you got to switch to tennis. But both of them were very encouraging. And I think that's a gift, right? The
Mhm.
gift of sponsoring health. Okay. Tell me about your first paid job.
My first paid job. Let's see. Well, I started off as a soccer coach and a soccer referee. Those were two jobs that were in my circle that, I've been playing soccer my whole life. I'm turning 15, so I've been playing for almost 11 years now. And I was like, this is the best thing I know. You can make decent money if you really put yourself, but you have to be self-motivated. So that was a really young job, actually. I think I was 14, 15 or something. But yeah, just refereeing soccer games, coaching young kids to just learn the fundamentals of soccer and just learn that this sport is fun. It's really rewarding when you kind of put it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first real job, I think.
Interesting fact. See, you and I have a lot in common. My first job was to be a ball boy in a soccer game, a professional soccer game.
That's cool.
Uh, when I actually got paid. All right. So when did you first realize endurance sports were more than a hobby for you?
Think when I got to my final year of high school, I'd been playing then soccer for 15 years. And, as you get older and older, you dream of being a professional soccer player. It kind of just like reality kicks in and it's you're losing your touch. You're not like clicking as well as you used to, and you're just not able to keep up with other soccer players. I figured that was kind of almost a mini like identity crisis where I've been playing soccer 15 years and I wasn't getting any better. And I didn't know if this was actually the path that I wanted to stay on. All I knew is that I worked extremely hard. I hustled, ran after every single bar, every ball, and at least tried. And yeah, I took all of that and kind of found the next sport that was, hey, what's the sport where you put in the most effort, you do get results? That ended up being triathlon. It ended up being running, biking, got into swimming. And yeah, the more time you put in, kind of the more you get out of triathlon,
Yeah.
essentially.
So out of swimming, biking, running, what's your true superpower?
My superpower would be my bike. Just, yeah, it's just something, I don't know what it is, but it just clicks every time. It's probably the one that I've been doing the least as well. Like I've been swimming and running for much longer. I was on a swim team. I was on cross country and track, but cycling just, I just do it for fun and it really clicks. So
What's the key? So at that level, what makes the difference when it comes to being a good cyclist?
yeah, I mean, let's see. Being aware of your so this is a couple things actually, and this is what I try to teach my athletes is that there's kind of a pyramid of like how you can measure your effort when you're doing these races. So usually we start off by perceived effort. Next thing would be heart rate. The next thing would be power. But then at the top of that, it actually goes right back down to the bottom, which is perceived effort. That is the number one. If you can be in tune with your body when you're racing and know what your limits are, know what your capabilities are, and really just get the most out of yourself by digging deep into yourself, that is, I think, the most powerful skill you can have as a cyclist is you can unlock your full potential. And I think I figured that out this year because always I was reliant on these data numbers coming in and just trying to overanalyze my racing. But really, at the end of the day, it's you just got to put your best foot forward, go for it, try something new, risk it. If you blow up on the run, it's okay. But you won't know unless you
Yeah.
go all in. So
So at this level and in competitive sports, I think there's two kinds of people. I mean, there may be more kinds, but there are some folks like my wife that she just looks at every data point. She looks at the pace, at the distance. She knows her training routines. And there are others where, the Zico brothers, like Jake, he just wakes up and he decides to run a marathon on a
exactly.
random day. Which kind are you?
I think there's definitely a need for both. I think
Okay.
sometimes you can, yeah, overanalyze and get your numbers down to like a T. You can do some lab testing where you can find out your VO2 max. What are your like power numbers? What's your heart rate? How many carbohydrates versus fat are you burning at a certain effort? Those are all very important to have. But when it comes down to racing, I'm a firm believer that you just have to perform your best. It doesn't matter what the numbers say. If your heart rate is 200 but you're winning the race, it's like, who cares if your heart rate's 100 and you're winning the race? You're doing a good
Yeah.
job, obviously. So I think there's a fine balance of both. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of probably more on the side now of you know, just do the work and go by. Don't really look at the data numbers. Just do some work and it'll be
Win.
yeah,
Like,
win,
I'm
just
just gonna
win.
crush it and win.
Sounds
Um,
a lot simpler than it is.
I love see all of this, Will, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you, I admire what you do so much, and everything translates into the workplace and how we approach jobs and careers. And it's interesting how now we have all these data points, analytics, AI, but to crush it at work, you have to show up, and be inspired by a higher purpose, be inspired by your teammates. I mean, that commitment to something, bigger than yourself, it's what's going to make the extra edge, right? I'm not saying that the data and all the tools and technology, it's not needed, but to be the best, you got to put all your heart into it and be committed to a higher purpose.
Yes, I definitely think there's something powerful in simplifying. If you're able to take those complex things, all your data, your race power, your heart rate, all your training, and simplify it into something that's just very easy to understand, it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what you do best, or tell me about the last race that you won and how did that feel?
Yeah, that was kind of a pivotal moment. That was Waco 70.3. I mean, miraculously just crossed the finish line in first place overall. That was something I dreamed about doing and I didn't think would happen. This was my last race before, signing my pro card and jumping up to the pro field. I had some really good races earlier this year, but nothing like, above my nothing that crazy. Oh, the feeling was unreal though. Swimming, I'm not a great swimmer, so of course I was coming out of the water pretty far back. I think I was like 50th place, so really just not that great.
Let's break it down. Is it a mile swim?
It is a 1.2-mile swim.
Oh, the point two makes it's
Yeah,
important. Yeah.
it does. It does. You definitely, that last point too. You're like, oh my gosh, get me out of this. But the mindset I had going through that swim was that you can't give up. The race is so young. The day is so young. Like you can still get it back on the next two things. Your bike is the best. It's probably the best here today, and so you can get it back on the bike. You can catch them, and then the run. Well, just hold on. But yeah, going through the bike, I ended up catching one of my teammates. We're starting to work together, collaborate. And when I say work together, we kind of like take turns doing a pull. We're not drafting because that's like illegal. And
You cannot drop, right?
you can't draft, but you can. We have a motorcycle with us, watching us to see if we're drafting or not. We're fine, but we are working together, collaborating, just having a good time out there. Like we're both working so hard to, catch up to first place. And by the end of the bike, I ended up having the fastest bike split of the entire day. We ended up catching first place. And now there's a group of 5 guys coming off the bike all together in a bunch, heading out into the 13.1-mile run. That was,
And the bike is 56 miles?
it's a 56-mile bike ride. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So again, what you're talking about is so translatable into the workplace, right? If you want to be a winning team, because there's a difference between wanting to be in the major leagues and wanting to play your high school soccer or do any recreational sports. If you want to win, you have to work with your teammates. You have to plan ahead. You have to give it all, right? And in the end, when you finish a big project, when you finish a big initiative, when you do a big implementation, that's what it feels, right? It feels so great because the end result is a byproduct of so much training and so much effort that goes into it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you think you can do another 7 point? Have you done an Ironman?
Yeah. So before, I've done Kona twice. I've done Ironman Texas 3 times. So yeah, I've done my,
Okay, wow.
and now I'm kind of
So
taking a break
if I ask you today, Will, would you be able to do another Ironman?
right now.
I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, because
I
in
can
your
do it.
mind,
Yeah.
the limits that we put ourselves in our mind, I haven't done an Ironman. I've done a half,
Mhm.
and I will tell you, I can do it again
Yeah.
because I know that I did it back. I can't remember when. I think it was 2015.
Yeah.
I ran a marathon, only one, but can I do it again? Yes, because mentally, I know I did that.
Mhm.
At work, same thing. When you have accomplished something monumental, you can replicate that again. And that's what you use during the interviews, right? Tell me about a time when you did something monumental that required teamwork and you have specific examples when you did that. Your examples in the triathlons can serve as those examples, right? So what you're telling me and how you talk is very similar as to how the best executives that I have worked with talk, right? There's no difference, even though you may be, a lot younger.
Younger.
But my point is like, you've got what it takes to crush it in a race. And when you find the next job, you will crush it as well, right? What's one misconception people have about triathletes or elite performers?
Misconception. Oh boy. I think probably a big one is it comes down to being selfish. Triathlon is kind of a solo sport where you do a lot of the work for yourself. You kind of have to focus on yourself, and you have to block out, distractions. And people might say that's like kind of a selfish, I guess, trait. But I think more realistically, if you are willing to put in this work for yourself, it's actually not very selfish at all. It's just you're very what's a good word for this? You're just willing to put in the work. That's what it takes. You kind of have to isolate yourself. If you want to do something incredible, you have to kind of set up these barriers. I've been reading this book called Deep Work and talks about a lot of these incredible people back in the day that would isolate themselves in towers, write books, study, I mean, discover new, I guess, methodologies. And that's what it takes to, I guess,
Yeah.
be the best version of yourself.
What's the hardest part of training that no one sees?
Well, the hardest part is probably motivation. I think there's going to be highs and lows no matter what. The highs are super easy when you're having a good time and everything's going well. It's very easy to do training. When it's not going right, you've got an injury, you just not feeling it. It's cold outside, it's raining. That can be harder to get out of bed. Right now, I'm going through an injury right now, and so it's kind of a low season for me. But remembering that, if you keep showing up, keep doing the work, it does pay off. It really does. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, my last race is a testament to that. And so I just know that, keep with it. It'll come around. The low seasons are temporary.
How did we meet, Will?
We met through Jimmy, Super Coffee Jimmy. Kind of put in a good word. I went to him asking for advice on, career, if college is a good option for me, if that's what I need to get to where I want to be. I want to be, a successful person. I want to be a high achiever. I want to, be passionate about whatever work I do. And so I was asking him if he had any recommendations, if I need to jump into school or if I can jump into the work field, if there are companies that are, who are looking for people like me who are just honestly just want to put their best foot forward. I want to
Yeah.
be, a high achiever. And yeah, and then I guess
Why Jimmy? Why did you ask Jimmy?
Jimmy, I feel like is someone who I look up to. He's got, he started Super Coffee when he was around my age, and being an entrepreneur or being like a self starter and self motivator and he's also got the fitness side of it. He's got, two awesome brothers as well, and I've got two awesome brothers. So I'm like, dude, I just see myself in you, kind of. Of course, he's phenomenal though. He's done it all. So, yeah, I thought he would be just a good role model to,
Yeah, that's
act.
very smart of you. Networking, it's also about filtering, relationships and who you ask advice to, right? Jimmy just said two things to me. I need you to meet Will. He's a triathlete. He wins races. And I'll clean up my schedule to meet you, to talk to you. And you came to Whole Foods. We did a little tour, but you have a strict credit, you know? You've to the world, to your friends, to yourself, that you've already accomplished something meaningful. I would much rather spend my time talking to you, learning from you, than talking to someone that has 5 degrees and has all these credentials and is trying to impress other people, saying, admire Jimmy, Jordan, Jake in general. I mean, because it takes getting up in the morning, having the mental discipline. I admire athletes so much for that, right? So we're uncovering some of the things that you do unconsciously that other people should learn from
Mhm.
to get to the next goal, right? Tell me about college and how is that? Yeah, what's the dilemma for you, and what are some of the things that you've learned about education, and have you settled, that piece with yourself?
Yeah. So before, when I went to college in Portland at Portland State University, and I did 2 years there where I was more or less just trying to, you know, go to school just to, hit the requirements, get my core classes done. And then my second year, I started to lean more into like a business kind of marketing. That's what I thought I was going to do, was a business marketing degree. On the side, I had this triathlon thing going. School, I was not as passionate about because I didn't feel like I had a clear direction on where I was even going to go after that. With triathlon, though, it was kind of like that thing that, got me inspired, got me like fired up. And I was like, I would go to school, sit in my classes, and then first thing I would go straight to the pool, like right after class, and just go turn out hundreds of lengths and just, put in the work. And then I'd go run afterwards. And then I'd come back home and study. But yeah, school for me was a little bit challenging in the sense that it didn't get me fired up. But I think now, looking back, I've got a much more clear,
Yeah.
I guess need for school, and I see the value of it. Absolutely.
Did your grades change or were they consistent?
I think they were pretty consistent. I think in the beginning they were probably a little bit better, but then as I kind of like, my core
But
class.
there were subjects where you like had A's and there were subjects where probably you were not as enthusiastic and probably were not all A's, right?
I will say my grades were relatively good, but I can note, like self-reflecting, I know that my writing skills maybe aren't the greatest. I've definitely a quick math kind of like, hey, I can do math on the fly. I can think pretty logically. My business marketing economics classes were good, were really good actually. Math was good. But yeah, this writing stuff, I was like, not too creative in that
Yeah.
maybe, but maybe in other ways.
Let's see if you remembered our conversation about education and the workplace and teamwork. What can you remember about that?
Oh man, that was back in our first about education. Is that I think we were talking about how you don't need the, you know, degree. Of course, what you do need is these traits of being like willing to work, being passionate, having experiences. I think that's extremely valuable when it comes to a resume. Is really what I can take away is that we were saying my resume doesn't have to be the standard, you've done 4 years of college and you've got a degree in marketing. Like it's not that amazing. What really makes up a person is, what they stand for, what they do, and what are their experiences. And that is all shown on, your resume.
Yeah.
Have you done to, you know,
Yeah. This is a big takeaway. So you cannot be great at everything.
mm-mm.
Just as in triathlons, you're strong at one or two things, but then you complement yourself with your teammates' strengths. That's real life. That's how high performing teams are formed, right? In school, there's a system to get all A's. I used in high school. Yeah, I was a straight A student. When I got out of high school, I was good at everything. So I didn't know like what to choose, right? The best executives that I've studied did not have consistent grades because they chose areas that they were passionate about. And, if accounting wasn't one of their fortes, then they probably failed the class. Some of the best executives that I know did not finish college,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There is no correlation between your performance at work and your education. I'm not saying that, having a degree from Ivy League school or any school, it's a bad thing, but there is no correlation whatsoever, right? So if a recruiter focuses on your degrees and your accomplishments, maybe that's not the company that you want to join. You see, you have to self select yourself out from those companies that are truly looking for those attributes that make someone great at work, right? And you and I talked about it's hard, right? It's not a job. Like finding a job, it's straightforward. But finding something that you're passionate about, that you get up every day in the morning and that you cannot go and do your things, that's hard. But and that's a difference. What we're trying to do with you, Will,
Mhm.
is to do that, right?
Yeah.
So you're way on your way. Okay, let's switch it up a little bit. Tell me about your best purchase under $100.
My best purchase under $100, and this can be anything, not just we're going
Anything.
on related, but best purchase under $100. Oh boy, wow, that is a good question. I'm trying to think of everything that I've got.
You probably have expensive bikes and expensive gear.
Everything I have is
Tell me
a
about the
thousand
bike. Tell me
dollars
about the bike.
minimum. What's that?
Tell me about your bike
My bicycle. So where do
or
I start?
bicycles.
What's that?
You have many or
I have a few. Yeah.
okay.
As you go, I guess you accumulate more and more and more, and then you have to sell and sell and sell. I'm thankful enough that, I've got a great community around here, and I actually got my bike from a fellow teammate who, had an extra one laying around. My bike before was a little bit too small, wasn't, the right fit for me either, and was kind of outdated in a little bit. But this guy, obviously saw that I was having decent results and said, hey, I think this bike would probably do you better more than me. So what I did is I sold my bike, gave him all the profits, and then he just tossed me his bike. He's like, here you go. That's yours now. And you can go win races. And look what happened.
Nice.
I did, of course, one race before that. And then I did so that was in Boulder 70.3 and then Waco 70.3. It clicked. I almost had the fastest I had the second fastest bike at Boulder and then the first fastest at Waco. So I felt like that bike absolutely, like, it made the difference. And I'm not even exaggerating about that. It absolutely did.
Yeah. Okay, so you like food? You like
Love food.
restaurants? And okay,
Yes.
well, think about the a meal that you really enjoyed that was under $100.
Easy. And this is gonna sound kind of like low tier, but I love Cabo Bob's burritos because it's just my go-to after a long ride, a long run. You get so much burrito for like $10. So yeah, you'll see me there all the time if anyone's around Austin. Cabo Bob's is my place to go.
Okay, well, free advertisement for Cabo Bob's.
There
Awesome.
you go.
What's your most meaningful investment? It doesn't have to be money related.
Most meaningful investment. I think the most meaningful investment was, and this is kind of to do with, I guess my personal brand, but I think the most meaningful thing I could have done was in 2020 or in 2021 when I just moved down to Austin. I think that was the most best, honestly, the best thing I could have done. Surrounded myself then with a community of like-minded people, triathletes, people who love to get up early in the morning and go put in the work versus back at home. It was just myself, couldn't, motivate myself to do all this stuff or do as much. Yeah, I think mentally I thought I was putting in so much work at home, but I come to Austin and to find that everyone's just like 3 steps ahead of me, and they're doing it easily because they've got a community, they've got, you know, people holding them accountable to do more. You're in a great environment where you can just succeed. It's really
Yeah,
no reason you can't succeed here, seriously.
I love that. So you were very intentional about seeking community.
That's everything to me.
You know that community and nurturing relationships is the number one key to being happy and being joyful.
Mhm.
Not
I
like
100% agree.
nothing else beats that.
Yeah.
Again, you're on the right path. Well, I also came to Austin for the same reason. I was chasing community. I was actually doing triathlons back then, and it was back in the day when Lance Armstrong was a big deal, and he had
Yeah.
his coffee shop. I lived right in front of Mellow Johnny's and found a community, and I'm so happy. I mean, Austin, because of that, of the community, of the vibe, right?
Mhm.
It has so much influence in how you see life every day. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, man. This was I ever received. I think, oh man, and this comes from my coach now, and he's a football coach, but he coaches triathlon. But I love him because he's got more of a bigger picture, um, I guess, worldview on triathlon. So anytime I go to him to talk about training, we don't actually talk about training, which is crazy. We talk about other things in life. We talk about, what's going on in life, what's going like on in your work career, how are you, how is your relationships with your family, how is your relationships with your friends? And we talk about things like that. But the biggest piece of advice I think I got from him was that don't take everything too seriously,
Uh,
and that's like with your professional career. Just this last year, I had the best year of my life because I took a step back, stopped taking it so seriously. I stopped stressing about what other people thought. And I just, leaned into what I love, which is community, having fun, showing up to team workouts, working with other people, not stressing about, you know, the last second details of a race, just showing up, putting your best foot forward and doing it, and I just had the best season of my life, and now I'm going to the pro fields because of it, so, um,
nice.
yeah.
How we doing, Will? You feeling good? We're warming up. We're just
Yeah.
getting
No, I'm feeling good,
okay.
I'm feeling
Ready for
good.
the hard questions or
No, this is great, it's just this room is absolutely freezing.
hey,
This is a new
I
room.
I'm also in my sauna and it's kind of cold, but
Yeah.
I use the sauna first because this sound it's good, and the sauna etiquette, it puts you in a mindset where you don't talk about politics or negative things. You just open your heart to talk about things that really matter, right?
From the
And
heart.
I want to do a little like pause on men sometimes don't take the opportunity to talk about hard things. You resolve things by you go out and run, or some people go out and socially have a beer or two, but men need more spaces to talk about their hard stuff. Back to people that that you admire and that I admire. When you find those folks in your life, it's so meaningful. And Jimmy, and the relationship that I have with him is one of those where you can share anything, you can be vulnerable, right?
Hmm.
And you need those folks in your life.
Absolutely.
Okay, tell me about a crash. Have you had a crash, an injury, anything
Yeah.
of that kind?
Last year I got hit by a car. That was a changing moment because, yeah, you start to look at the bigger picture like, this is my life on the line and I am, training. There's other cars around and, my life could have been drastically changed from just that single moment where a car just wasn't looking, just happened to make a sweeping right and take me out. I had also a race that it was Ironman Florida. I couldn't do it. I got super sick. It was like 2 weeks later. I just recovered from the sickness, got hit by a car. It was just a really rough time for me personally because that Ironman race was supposed to be the pro race where I was gonna, hey, I'm gonna take my pro card. Got super sick, didn't know what the sickness was, and still it's kind of an ongoing sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then got hit by a car. Just the world came crashing down, and I was like, "Wow! Like, what's even the point of getting up if I just keep getting like beat down, like thing after thing after thing? And why am I chasing this like big goal of becoming a pro triathlete when it just sucks? You're really in like the suck." And yeah, I mean, hard times pass, but you eventually just get out of it, get out of it, and then yeah.
But yeah, I don't do triathlons anymore because I crashed a couple of times. And the last one, what motivated you to get back on the bike and ride? The it, it's fear takes over, right?
I mean, I don't think fear for me was that big of an issue. I did a lot of like cycling racing, so very used to like riding like shoulder and bumping with people. So I knew that I was a capable rider, but what's what's really scared of me is that these drivers in Austin are, I feel like, getting a little bit worse and worse every single year. You see things that just happen, and it makes you think like, wow, like it really is unpredictable out there on the road. So you just have to be extremely mindful. You have to have all the equipment. I've got like a sensor on the back of my bicycle that alerts me when cars are coming by.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, over on the side, or just pull over as close to the shoulder as I can. And yeah, just being, prepared the best you can.
Yeah,
There's only so much you can do, but yeah, getting back on the bike for me was honestly just something I had to do.
yeah.
I couldn't give up. So
But life is like that, right? You have low moments, and it's not if, it's when you will have low moments in every aspect of your life. Getting back
mhm.
and keep that attitude of we gotta keep going is a great analogy for how to approach life, you
Yeah,
know?
smile through the
Um,
pain because it's only temporary. I mean, I'll tell you, when I was going through those were probably the two because I was so sick that yeah, I went to the ER, $10,000 hospital bill because they didn't know they ran all these tests because they had no idea what was going on with me. And then 2 weeks later, got hit by a car. And all I could do was just laugh because I was like, wow, those are the two craziest things that ever happened to me back to back. And yeah, you just look back and be like, wow, that was a tough time. But, thankful for experiencing it because it gives you another perspective on life. But I
yeah,
don't want to do it again.
yeah. Very quickly, switching gears,
Mhm.
tell me how you use AI in any way, maybe for your coaching or training,
Yeah.
just quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to injuries and stuff like that, I feel like that is kind of this looming thing that happens to, athletes, and everyone is different. So it's very hard to pinpoint, exactly what muscles could be tight, what causes of this, like what jobs people have, how their job and their, you know, background, I guess, in sports can affect them when it comes to injuries, which is really hard thing to diagnose. Even for PTs, I feel like it's very difficult to diagnose. But coming up with a plan then to get back into training is kind of how I use AI is to, hey, how can we, give this person the best chance of coming back? And that's dialing
Yeah,
in nutrition, dialing in strength training, bringing down their load. But which exercises do we bring down? Do we bring down biking and running? Do we keep swimming going high? That's where AI can kind of like fine tune those details
that's cool.
me because it's a tool. I wouldn't say that, in my head I've got all the answers, but I've at least got this tool. I can, translate that information into, you know, I've done this before. Hey, this is like a real practical idea. We can get you healthy in 4 weeks, but you really have to trust me that you need to chill out. AI says, yes, we can still train, but I would say I give it a personal touch of, we'll take AI, I'll kind of decode or translate it, and then I'll pass the message on to.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, that last thing that you said, the critical thinking aspect of leveraging AI,
Mhm.
it's how AI can be really powerful. So instead of letting AI drive, you drive with AI, you know?
Yes,
Many thoughts on AI, but that would be a whole different conversation that would
yeah,
last. So
absolutely.
you're searching for the next step in your career.
Mhm.
What about the job search has surprised you, good or bad?
I think it's been a little bit of good and bad. I want a job that, has a in-person role. There's a lot of hybrid roles and or not hybrid, I remote person just remote. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something where I can, you know, really show up, be a face, have a team, have a community there. Because I think community, back to that, it's everything. If you can surround yourself with those people, you're going to be just like those people. So that's been kind of surprising is that there's a lot of remote jobs. Another thing that's been surprising is that, there are some cool companies out here. He is a great one. Roka is an awesome one. The Spurs, I guess, basketball team is out here, which is very cool. And so those have been great opportunities. The problem is that, yeah, how do you get in front of them? So I think that is
Yeah.
the next part of the.
Well, same. Yeah. Your network will put you closer to those communities first. You know Brandon?
I do.
Yeah.
He does triathlon too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, shout out to Brandon over there. And
Yeah.
okay, what advice would you give another young professional looking for the next chapter?
For the next chapter. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I would say that I would say trust your gut. I would say when you get that urge that you want to go do something, there's no reason you can't do it. I keep thinking back to when I was in Portland. I wasn't very happy with, like, I guess the environment that I was in for my professional career, my triathlon career, even just my life. And so I had this gut feeling that I had to honestly take myself out of this community and put myself in a community where I could be my best. So I would say listen to your gut. When you've got these urges that, you want to do something, follow it. Just follow it and see it out, because otherwise you're not going to do anything. If you're in this
Yeah.
paralysis of I need all these decisions, I've got so many decisions, I don't know which one to do, you just don't do anything. And I think that's something I kind of faced earlier in Portland when I just didn't know and I just was doing college and I just didn't know what the next steps were. But listen to your gut. You will make the right answer work. It's not going to be perfect, but you'll make it work.
Yeah. And, take risks, right? Calculated risk. And it's less risky when you don't have a family, you don't have a mortgage, right? You could do a lot of things at your age, right?
Exactly.
And again, some people just get stuck in this hamster wheel
Hmm.
of comfort, right? Love your advice. What does happiness mean to you?
Happiness means to me, I guess, and this is, I think there's layers to it. Um, Happiness comes from, I guess, helping others. I think at the tower, yeah, helping others, community is the number one thing. There's things that can build into that, like purpose and having drive and achieving a higher goal or something. But I think at the end of the day, what drives happiness is helping others and seeing success in others, giving, not necessarily receiving. That's something I lived through with coaching. It's something I've done for my whole life, helping young soccer players, find a love for the sport that can give them friends, can give them a community, to like what I'm doing now, which is, same thing with kids, but just with adults. It's, creating relationships, making friends, meeting new people, giving people purpose, getting them up early in the morning when usually they would sleep until 9, 10 a.m., even 12. the clock, but getting them up early, giving them something to do that
Yeah.
makes them feel accomplished, I think is, and I think really you'll find happiness by giving, to
Yeah.
others. I think it's very, very fulfilling in that way.
What about joy? What gives you joy?
I think joy, I think for the same thing, but just applied to myself is, seeing personal growth. I think trying new things. I think stepping out of your comfort zone, be like knowing that you are capable of more than you think. Definitely sucks when you try something new and you maybe didn't live up to your expectations of like, hey, I didn't achieve that. That actually sucked. But when you do something new and you are prepared for it and you can, excel at it, I think that gives me a lot of joy. I mean, I've done all these sports. I've done so many different hobbies, like, let's see, ceramics. I can do ceramics, and it's something totally random, but jumping into something like that and being able to achieve it, it feels so good just to
Yeah.
do new things. So,
Will, we started about 5 minutes late. Do you have 5 minutes after the hour
absolutely,
to
yeah.
finish? Okay. Tell me about so high performing athletes describe that euphoria feeling when you cross the finish line, when you finish the race and you see a loved one. Describe that. Is that joy, happiness? Is that accomplishment? How would you describe that?
Yeah, that I will say is probably been a highlight of my I definitely remember my first Ironman triathlon. Well, I was like 19 years old. I wanted to be the youngest, finisher of an Ironman ever, but we came kind of delayed that. But it was 2 years of work that had gone into this race then. Yeah, it's just one day of just absolute chaos. It's things are going well, things go wrong. It's just like it's just like life, but it all happens in 10 hours and it feels so condensed and it's so emotional and it's so hard that once you cross that finish line, by far has been the best feeling of my life was crossing my very first, even better than crossing and winning the race, but just accomplishing something that I didn't know I guess I could do brought me so much joy, happiness, seeing my parents there, able to hug me and just, yeah, it was an absolute surreal moment. So, yeah, and I say that it's better than when I won. First one by myself. I didn't do great. I did okay, but that was a key moment for me, and I think that's why I'm here today still doing what
Yeah.
I love.
Same. When I did the High V triathlon in Des Moines, Iowa, and my parents were there, and I can't describe the feeling. Obviously, I'm not like you, of course, not winning, not even placing, but who cares? Like
Yeah, who
you
cares?
own that, and you take that with you, and those memories are so priceless.
Yes.
Think about a podcast or a documentary that has changed your perspective.
I've been listening to a lot of modern wisdom recently, and that's with, Chris Williams. I think he's great. He gives a lot of logical ideas, more of like how the brain functions and why would someone, act in a certain way. I love that sort of thinking when you can kind of piece out logically why would these things happen from, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of that sense. So I appreciate that. That has kind of changed how I think, I guess, about things, really, kind of everyday life now. It's like, why would someone be so emotional towards this thing? Why would someone
Mhm.
respond that way? Why is someone feeling this way? And I
Do
think that
you listen to podcasts or music when you train?
yes, sometimes I've been trying to get more out of it though, because I've been so reliant on like, hey, let's plug in a podcast or hey, let's plug in music. But sometimes I'm trying to take a step back because I was doing it every single podcast or every single run and every single activity. I was more focused on the podcast and not necessarily the training.
Okay.
There are times and seasons for it. It's off season right now, so I should get back into podcasts. But when it's on season, it's hey, like go back to what I said. Like we got to focus on your perceived effort, and you got to like lean into that, lean into
Yeah.
your training.
Okay, bigger questions now. Briefly, don't overthink them.
Okay,
Why are you here? What's your why?
why am I here? Are you talking like purpose and let?
Planet Earth. Why are you here on this planet? What's your why?
Man, that is a big question. Why am I here? I am here, I think, to be a light, I think. I think I'm here to be a light for other people. I think I'm here to help others find passion, purpose eventually. Not right now, but in my small pond, I guess. Yes. In my triathlon community, yes. In my soccer career, yeah, help people find I don't know, purpose or peace or happiness or joy. So whoever's in my pond, I hopefully I can yeah, be a light for them to just be a better version of themselves. If I can get them up early, hey, let's go for a run in the morning. It's something they would never do. Let's do it. If you want to try something like totally new, let's do it.
Nice.
That would be my answer is to be a light for others.
What do you want to leave behind, even at this early stage in your life?
Mhm. What do I wanna leave behind? I think yeah, just ties into that last answer then would be I wanna leave behind a message that, yeah, like anyone, I guess, can be a light, really. You don't have to be the biggest light, but you just need to be a light. You need to, even if it's just one person you're helping out, if it's a friend or it's a family member, I wanna be, I guess, someone who can, I guess, help their community, just yeah, back community, so
Well, imagine that you go to sleep today and you wake up in the year 2036.
okay.
2036. You wake up
10 years from now?
and you read the paper that probably there is no newspapers, but there's an online headline describing Will Watson and the accomplishments that you've had
Mhm.
for the last 10 years. Tell me, what would the headline say? Where would you be?
Wow. That is kinda I think, that's a big question. I think for me, it would be something to do with finding joy and balance in life. I would think what would be an incredible, I think, headline to me is that Will Watson he's a dad, he's a pro triathlete, he is a career hustler, he is a community person, and he helps thousands of people in Austin. He's got his own run club or run group, or he hosts the Austin Marathon and can help thousands and hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people run their first K. Something like that. He does it all. I mean, he does, I guess, what he's passionate about and helps others along the way. I think that would be more than like, hey, Ironman champion.
Yeah.
I really think that helping others just brings me a lot more joy.
Love it. Love it. Have you met Will, Mike Thompson?
I've heard the name. I know that he's very close with Allison and Jimmy, so
Yeah, we gotta make an intro to Mikey.
Like,
He's very inspiring, and um, I think there are some connections there that he can also facilitate.
cool. Very
All
cool.
right, well, thank you for sharing. I mean, we can talk forever. I really admire you. I think you've got the right energy. You're on the right path. You've done all the things that I would coach myself to do.
Mhm.
Right? Regardless. I mean, we didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about status. We didn't talk about some of those superficial things, because what really matters is the things that you share, right? Connection, taking risk, failures, and the way you talk about being a light. I'll share with you some of the responses that I've had from other folks that I admire. The answers are the same, right? So take me out running one of these days. I really learned a lot from you. This is gonna help someone in some ways, right? So until the next time, Will, this is Path Forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. We'll see you.